On today's Two Brew Tuesday, it's West Coast IPA versus Northeast IPA. Hello, my beer drinking friends, and welcome to another edition of Two Brew Tuesday. We're actually out in the brewery again today because we were making a delicious Vienna lager. It should be ready in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, of course, we've worked up quite a thirst, and today we're tasting two different IPAs from Indie Brewing Company. Indie Brewing Company is a fairly new brewery. They're out of Boyle Heights in Los Angeles. They've been around for about 2 years now. They're actually a group of homebrewers that met in about 2009 and decided they wanted to open a brewery together. So the two different IPAs we're tasting today, the first one is called IPA Delray. This is a traditional West Coast style IPA. Let's crack it open and see what we're dealing with. So yeah, like I mentioned, it is a West Coast style IPA. Looking at it, it has a nice golden color to it. It's got a little bit of a hop haze to it, but it's for the most part fairly clear. It's got a medium-sized creamy white head. So right up front it has a lot of citrus, maybe even a tangerine note to it, a little bit of pine, even maybe just, a little bit of that dank note to it. Wow, and it's definitely a kick you in the teeth kind of hoppy beer. It's got a really firm bitterness, a ton of hop flavor, again reinforced with all that citrus. It's got a medium sort of crackery note to it in the malt. Finish is super dry. I know they use both Equinox and Citra hops in this IPA. It's a 6.5% ABV, and I believe it's at 60 IBUs. So this is definitely a really refreshing IPA. It's not too high on the alcohol. There's no real warming effect to it. It's just really smooth, easy drinking kind of beer. All right, so the second IPA. This one is in the Northeast, New England, Vermont, whatever you want to call it, IPA. This is called Worth the Squeeze IPA. It's definitely got that juicy note to it, supposedly. So just pouring this beer, immediately you can tell, it's really cloudy. You're not seeing, I can't see my fingers through the glass. It almost looks like orange juice to me. And that orange juice sensation, it's coming through in the nose too. It's definitely all about citrus. And again, it has a pretty high bitterness. This one is, I believe, 7% ABV. I don't see an IBU reading on this guy. The big difference for a Northeast IPA, most of the brewers are adding some sort of adjunct that they wouldn't do in a West Coast style, so it's usually got a big portion of wheat or oats. That sort of helps give it a little bit more of a creamy feeling. They're almost all using exclusively late hops, so the bitterness is a bit lower, and it's all about the hop flavor and the aroma. And this beer definitely has those two things, and it's also really smooth. It doesn't have that biting bitterness that the West Coast beer did. And yeah, it doesn't taste 6.5 to 7%. They're fairly close in strength, but it feels actually like a lighter, smoother beer. I'd even say the carbonation is also probably a little bit lower. Again, all those efforts are just to make this a smoother style beer. When these Northeast IPAs started showing up, I personally wasn't really a fan of them until I started drinking a few of them. This is a great example. I think it's an incredibly delicious beer. Not really the prettiest to look at, but I guess if you start to get used to this kind of beer, then you don't mind that at all either. Well, that's our 2 beers for 2 Brew Tuesday. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, please make sure to give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. See you all next Tuesday.